Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to this really cozy setting for a conference. Not sure if it's the best after waking up, but for sure for me, it's the best setting I've ever had on a session with sofa and so on. So, welcome to the second day of the European Commission Initiative for Energy Poverty Advisory International Conference. So we are at the fifth international conference of EPAH. And today, hopefully you were able to enjoy the sessions yesterday, but also the dinner with the amazing view to the city of Athens. So and today we'll have multiple sessions, some parallel sessions. So I'm speaking now, we have two other sessions on energy communities and renovation. But here with us today and on this panel discussion, we'll have a session on mapping, measuring energy poverty locally. So from data, models, composite indicators to stakeholder-driven solutions. So hopefully you're in the correct sessions to discuss this with four great speakers we are having today. So I present myself. I'm João Pedro Gouveia. I'm the scientific coordinator of EPAH and also part of Nova University of Lisbon. And here today with us we have Dr. Sofia Natalia Boemi from INCB, we have Emmanuel Kochi, but I'll present them properly when they are speaking, and Dimitris Papantonis and Alexandra Weichscheider. Sorry for that. And then, yeah, so the session will be composed by the four speakers and me. How this will run will be, each one of them will present for 10, 12 minutes, let's say like that. And then we'll have a round of discussion and questions among all of us. And then at the end, we can open also the floor for discussion with you. If you have any questions for the speakers or any thought about the audit process on data indicators and measuring energy poverty. So, without further ado, I'll bring to the floor Sofia Natalia Boemi. So she's a senior expert from INZEB, from the Institute for European Energy and Climate. And then I'll bring her presentation here. So she'll be talking about the Social Climate Fund vulnerability indicators and some work they have done with a large consortium about this.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to discuss about two technical assistants that we have implemented the last 2 years. So it's nice to see you, most of you, because we have met in the previous conferences, also with other opportunities. So my presentation will focus on social climate funds and how we have indicated the vulnerability indicators. So I will present the results of two technical support instruments. The one it was funded by the European Union and managed by the DG Reform. The project it was implemented from June 2024 until July 2025, and it was carried out by a huge consortium, which it was led by Trinomics, with collaboration with ECORIS, with remodeling as ICP, OECO, SWECO, EPV, ECO, NBL, and several other independent experts. You can see all the logos there. And also another additional study that we have done only for Greece. It was funded by the General Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and the KIS as part of the technical support for the development of the social climate plan. So, what is the social climate plan? We have heard about that previously. If you agree, we have heard about that in the news yesterday. So, imagine that the social climate fund is like a treasury, an EU treasury, in order to provide money to support all the vulnerable citizens. So in fact, what the EU Commission is doing in order to achieve climate neutrality, since it will put the price on carbon emissions to buildings, road transport, and small industry starting from 2028, it is trying to support all those micro SMEs and buildings and consumers in that decarbonization process. So why? Because in the forthcoming years, it is expected to increase the energy and fuel costs, and of course, as you can understand, that will affect mostly vulnerable groups. So to address this, a social climate fund has been established. As I mentioned, it will start operating in the next year, ensuring that support is provided by the full impact of ETS, and with the aim to achieve like a quotient with socioeconomic impacts. So based on that, we have three new vulnerability definitions. So the first one, it concerns the vulnerable households, which are the one that they are unable to renovate their houses. We have vulnerable micro enterprises, which are the enterprises that lack of the capacity to decarbonize, which means that they lack the ability to renovate their buildings and purchase a zero and low emission vehicle. And we have the vulnerable transport users, which is defined as the ones that they cannot afford to purchase a zero low emission bicycles. So those new definitions are not only income-based, but also they concern the capacity-based vulnerabilities. So our major challenge in order to assist defining such kind of vulnerability indicators under the first TSI that concerned 9 member states. You can see the flags there. So it was to translate those definitions into measurable indicators. So not just having an exercise, but having something that would be more concrete. Even though there are, and as you know, we have discussed it in all the EPAH conferences, there are several indicators that already exist in order to measure energy poverty. But those indicators must be transformed in order to also showcase how ETS will affect people. What we have done, we have applied a harmonized methodology combining national data collection, stakeholder management, engagement, and statistical analysis and modeling to assess the expected impacts of ETS. The methodology involved the development of coding-specific vulnerability indicators, the use of micro and microeconomic modeling, and the social stakeholder engagement. In the end, we had to change only one indicator. So, that indicator often referred to an indicator. This indicator captures households which represent expenditure disproportionately with high share of total spending combined with relatively low income levels. In other words, it identifies those who are both exposed to energy, to high energy costs and have a limited financial capacity to respond. This makes it particularly suitable for accessing vulnerability under ETS. So here we can see like an example. The blue one, it's the one that it was with the previous 2M indicator, and we can see how things have changed with the new 2M indicator. You can, in fact, even though the difference it's not that big, it really quantifies the exposure across countries, which is really critical in allocating the social climate fund resources. So these kind of estimations are really essential in order to understand the scale of the issue and, of course, to assist in having any kind of guiding policy design. So when it comes to Greece, we are in Greece. So one of the key indicators that we focused is the inability to renovate. That is also one key indicator based on the new social fund. So the vulnerability threshold is around 10,000 euros, 10,700 euros and 11,000 euros per person. Below this threshold, the the household is considered energy vulnerable. So if we make it in real case numbers, this number corresponds to approximately 1.6 million households, where more than half of them would be affected by the new ETS2 that is coming in the next year. So this threshold allows us to identify the huge amount of population that really lacks the financial capacity to invest in energy efficiency improvements. So here we can, in the table, we can see the numbers which will be affected by the new ETS. So I'm not going to focus on the numbers, but I'm just showcasing them because it is really important to understand that the numbers can really showcase and really assist us in understanding the scale of the challenge and how big it will be the socioeconomic impact. So by using household budgetary surveys, we identified also the households that burn fossil fuels in their cases, and we picked the first income categories. So based on that, around 500,000 of households will be affected when it comes to vulnerability indicators from the introduction of the new ETS. I'm going to finish with that thing. So with the introduction of ETS2, vulnerability indicators are expected to get worse. More specifically, for the vulnerability indicators, average change across indicators is less than 1% additional households, and that cannot really be able to renovate or purchase a car, but still the population that it will be affected is over 65 to 70%. That 65 to 70% when it comes to this, it really concerns mostly the most vulnerable or the ones that they are in lower income groups. But something really important, so it's energy poverty, it's not just, so vulnerability is not just close to energy poverty, but it also concerns medium-sized households, which will be also affected by ETS2. So, concluding, these are some of the measures that we have stated. The first one is it was proposed mostly for the 9 member states. What you can see here is like a mix of measures. Those typically combine short-term income support with long-term structural interventions, such as building renovations and sustainable solutions. Something similar was announced yesterday by the Greek government for the Social Climate Fund. And the effectiveness of these measures depends heavily on the accurate targeting. So it would be wise when doing such kind of exercise to target specific people. And not just making like social politics based on that. Because after all, what is important when discussing indicators is to be translated in results that concern the most vulnerable and most eligible citizens. If you would like to find some more information about this, write it here, and that's it from me.
So we'll now proceed with Emanuele. So we'll move to Italy now. So Emanuele is a researcher from RRC. Maybe you can just say a few words about that. And okay.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Emanuele. I work for Research and Energy System, which is a public national research institute in Italy. And of course, as the name says, we focus on the energy system in Italy. I will present this research work titled Quantitative Analysis of the Spatial Distribution of Energy Poverty in the Municipality of Parma. That will travel on the late 2024, and we are ending this work like this at the beginning of this summer. And I want to mention my other colleagues that worked with me, Francesca Doria, Francesca Talamo, and Lorenzo Davidovich. So we can begin with a brief introduction of the social and energy vulnerability in Italy. You can see on the right side the chart taken by the EPAH site, which shows the electricity prices for households in the first semester of 2025, and you can see that Italy is one of the European countries with the highest energy price. So this reflects on the data and of course the distribution of vulnerable families in Italy. You can see on the left some data from 2024, 2.2 million Italian families living in extreme poverty, unchanged, a really complex phenomenon, and it depends by multiple factors. We can rely on some definitions, like the ones from the European Commission. So we can see that it's merely caused by high energy expenditure, poor energy efficiency of buildings, and low income levels. So, based on this assumption, we can dive in the project itself. Of course, it was commissioned and we worked with the municipality of Parma, but not only. We also worked with the artists and others as territorial partners. So this project was structured in three main phases. The main one is to map the geographical distribution of the energy poverty. So we found an indicator that worked for us. Then we create strategic distribute a survey to local vulnerable families in order to qualitatively validate the output through the local association and municipality. And then we're going to propose some policies based on the output of the first two phases to, of course, face the energy phenomenon in the municipality of Parma. So about the methodology that we use, it's about the definition and the use of two indicators, which are the energy expenditure that we obtained simulating household energy consumption through an RSC simulation model that we validated in previous studies, and then an income range distribution across the neighborhoods of Parma that we had available as data, as local data. We say that I can see that we took inspiration by this work of Carbonetti et al. From ISTAT, which is the Italian National Institute of Statistics. It's a really big public company and a really huge and important source of data from a statistical point of view across all the nation. So this work aimed to measure the socioeconomic disadvantage for households at the sub-municipal level. So it was our scope. So the energy poverty index that we obtained was a combination of two layers. We can say quantitative and statistical layer, which are of course energy expenditure and economic condition. So if we can go a little bit specifically about the energy expenditure layer, we had the information by census area, so a very detailed resolution. We combined the Italian population census with the Italian building census. So we had as available the data of number of families and family numbers for each census area, together with the building characteristics such as building type and building age, so the energy cloud consumption. From the economic condition layer side, we extracted the desired income from the national statistical data from INZEB as well, and we associated that to income ranges specifically for the municipality of Parma. Okay, we can see on the left an output of the energy expenditure layer, a detail, and you can see the detail because we worked on the census area And to give an order of magnitude, each census area contains a number of 5 to 30 building units. We associated the simulated energy cost of each census area to the defined archetype that we knew they were in each census area through the Italian census of the population and of the buildings. And the energy expenditure is the mean. We consider it the mean of the energy cost simulated of each building contained in each census area. So talking about the economic condition layer, we use the macro data dataset from INZEB, which is the survey on household expenditure in 2021. This survey was conducted on more than 20,000 households and more than 500 municipalities. So it's a huge data source. But in order to represent the Parma-Titi, we filtered the data set through the region of Parma, which is in Romagna, and a number of represent more than 50,000 in order to represent better the city. We obtained a resulting data set of 869 households, so a good representative data. And finally, this was combined with the 2022 report from the municipality of Parma itself that showed the data of the distribution of income ranges across the neighborhoods of Parma. So it was like a specific, we combined like national data to specific local data for this research. Going a little bit in specific about always the economic condition, we extracted the income deciles from the macro data, and we consider the first two deciles of the distribution of income deciles and the incomes less than 10,000 euros. This is according to the definition of vulnerable families from INZEB for, of course, the Italian population. Then we combined these two matrices, which are the archetypes distribution of these deciles with the detail of census area, as I say, and the number of families with income less than 10,000. So with the combination of these two matrices, we had the weight that we could multiply for each census area to the energy expenditure that we previously simulated for that census area. So we had the probability to find a vulnerable family in that census area based on this data. Okay, finally we have the results. This is the detail of the geographic energy poverty distribution in the Parma municipality. You can see in the lighter portion of the picture, we can say that we should find a lower density of vulnerable families and more energy efficient building. So we can say the best case, but we are always talking about vulnerable families because we took the data from the first two deciles and from the incomes between less than 10,000 euros. And in the darker areas, in the red areas, we should find a higher density of vulnerable families and older buildings, which is so the worst case. So based on this, we can say that we developed a methodology that, of course, worked for us and for this project, for the municipality of Parma, and this allowed to distribute the energy poverty indicator on a very small scale and very high resolution, and this permits to identify the hotspots of the city, of course from a statistical point of view, but we are basing off national data and building data. So this permits to the local government and the municipality of Parma, of course, to think and to promote policies in order to face the energy poverty locally in the city. Okay, thank you for your attention.
So we now proceed with Dimitri. So he'll
will talk about the flagship project and therefore flagship.
Hello, also from my side. Thank you all for being here. Thanks also to the previous presenters for their valuable contributions. I think it's nice that we can, especially with the previous presentation, we have many complementarities, and it's nice to see how these different approaches interact and they collaborate in the future. So, I am Dimitris Papantoglis. I am from the Techno-Economics of Energy Systems Laboratory, the Energy Policy and Strategy Unit of the University of Piraeus here in Greece. And today I will present you our activities under the Locati project. The Locati project is a European Commission funded project under the LIFE program, which aims to support local authorities and municipalities in tackling energy poverty at the local level. The key challenges that we aim to address is what is also the central point of our session today is the lack of data, and also the lack of capacity and other challenges related to municipality when it comes to municipalities aiming to address energy poverty. This effort is a joint effort with partners from 7 different EU countries, and we have, let's say, we have built within the project an ecosystem in 3 EU countries, Greece, Poland, and Portugal, where we directly involve municipalities as full partners, along with a relevant research organization in the country to, let's say, manage the whole process. For example, not for example, the 3 municipalities are the municipality of Rumia in Poland, and IBS is the relevant research institute. In Portugal, we have Torres Vedras, and the colleagues from NOVA are the relevant research institute. And in Greece, we have the municipality of Piraeus, and us, TISLAB, is the relevant research partner. While we also have other colleagues and organizations with a more horizontal contribution. The 3 municipalities have, let's say, we aimed, while formulating this project, to have some distinct characteristics among them, because we wanted to see, let's say, the adaptability of our approach in different contexts. For example, we see differences in population, and the major difference is on the settlement type, because we have in Rumia it's mostly peri-urban municipality, in Torres Vedras is urban and rural characteristics, while in Piraeus it's solely urban. So, to achieve our objectives, one of the main outcomes of the project is the energy poverty monitoring system. It's a tool that we aim we are currently developed, and we aim to use it as a dashboard for municipalities to integrate it in their core activities and try to formulate through it energy poverty, try to diagnose energy poverty locally, and then develop and design policies to target in a targeted way to address it. For this approach, because the project is a 3-year project, now we are currently, let's say, in the half of the project, and the first period was aimed in collecting all the necessary data. For this case, we followed, let's say, a hybrid approach of both bottom-up, aiming to build bottom-up the collection of data at the local level with specific data targeted in buildings, in the municipality, while we complement when we face challenges and lacks of data with a top-down approach, where we also used the data from the national repositories. So, based on the differences in the collected data in each municipality and the different, let's say, contexts that we faced through the collaboration and the direct and the constant discussions with the local authorities that we have in the project, we formulated different strategies for each municipality, and we tried to complement the bottom-up and top-down approach using the multidimensional energy poverty index that is already established in the literature from Jakub Sokolowski, which is also a partner in the project under IBS and other colleagues. And with this index, we consider key parameters that we, under this framework, are, let's say, relevant and increase the probability of a household to be energy poor. And we have conducted the first series of calculations and estimations, which are, in this stage, are inserted in the tool that we are developing, and we will have the chance to see the current version of the tool in a few slides from here. And we assessed the energy poverty probability in each municipality. For example, we can see that in Rumia, around 12% of the multi-apartment buildings are expected and have higher probabilities of being energy poor. In Torres Vedras in Portugal, around 1,200, 300 people in a strong, an important amount of subsections of the municipality being increasingly exposed to energy poverty, and in Piraeus, almost 1/3 of the apartments. So one of what we have also discussed within this process with all the colleagues in the project is that one of the key outcomes of our efforts is also to highlight and point out the challenges that we met during this process, because working directly with municipalities aiming to collect data is something very, very challenging, but we managed to have, let's say, some concrete outcomes on this, and we also had to conduct several trade-offs in this process. For example, it's, as you can see also in our slide, it's the data coverage part is something very, very tricky and challenging. There's lack of data at the local level, at the building level, at the small-scale area level. We have differences between countries. We have also, in the same country, differences across the data sets. There is not a standardized way of presenting them. They're not harmonized. Something that we have also experienced from our case here in Greece, in Piraeus, is that different departments of the municipality could have different series of data, and the one department does not talk with the other department, and they are not aware of having all this data. So another very important part is the privacy issues, GDPR issues, because we managed to obtain data at the building level, but we're not supposed to use them, because this will target specifically households, specific people, and it's not allowed. So we had, for example, in this case, we had to aggregate the data at the higher level. So we went at the zip code level or small-scale areas zip code level. Another important aspect of our approach is that within the whole project, we have a constant co-design, let's say, a parallel process with key stakeholders, aiming to apply this framework of the quadratic helix, meaning that market actors, local authorities, academia, and social actors are involved in the process, in all stages of the process of the development of the tool, of the application, and of course of its integration within the municipality's day-to-day work. Here are some, let's say, key takeaway messages from the development process so far. I think one of the main takeaway is that the approach of combining both bottom-up and top-down approaches, both locally data and national level data, is critical, and it has led us to outcomes, because the whole objective of this process is to have an effective outcome and a tool that the municipality will be able to use. So here we have a very short video of the current version of the tool. Our colleague our colleague Jan Frankowski from IBS has recorded it, and we can see it.
Conference 35, nice to present the first pilot demonstration of locative dashboard. From step where you can see the city of Rumia and the northern Poland and the all the multifamily building stock. So it is possible with our dashboard to check the overall number of multifamily buildings, the average private energy demand, the number of buildings which are at risk. It's also possible to, for example, check each building here. And there's also an option to go to the extreme view to see the building in details and also to explore other dimensions of the housing stock, like for example the buildings only with solid fuel, the buildings with heating oil. There's also the possibility to look through the ownership issues, like only municipal housing buildings or in a particular housing cooperative, to explore all of the housing stock through the energy class and the risk of energy poverty. This is also such as possibility, and the city can also make some kind of pivot table and other analysis here. As you can see, it's also possible, and also to build the ranking of the building which needs the intervention the most. So I hope that this kind of possibilities will be beneficial for our municipalities. We also would like to add some other functions, like for example the activity of the municipalities under each building, just to make it more handy for people who are working with people in energy poverty on a daily basis. So I hope that this kind of tool can be interesting for all of you. So if yes, please contact with us. Thanks for the possibilities of presenting this tool for you.
We also thank Jan for this. And yes, as a next step, what we are planning now to do is to expand the functionalities of the tool. We also employ a simulation model that has been developed from our laboratory and can calculate the savings of different actions in the targeted building, so as to include the chance for the municipality to have also targeted interventions. We are also conducting a new communication route with stakeholders in order to, in this next phase of the project, to have their feedback and validation on this. And we are now establishing municipal contact points and starting the process of integrating this tool and the other, let's say, methodologies that we are developing in the municipalities' strategies. So this is the final slide. One of the key, let's say, objectives of our activities is to increase the replication of this methodology and this tool. So we have brainstormed under 4 different replication levels. We think that the earlier the better, because we have around 1 year and a half towards the end of the project. So if you represent a municipality or you are in direct contact with one, we could collaborate and see how this approach could, let's say, be implemented in your cases as well. So we can discuss after the session with me, Joao, Pedro, but of course we can also contact Jan Frankowski, the project coordinator, in this email. So here there are some outcomes we have already published, so you can access it, and this is it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we move to Austria. We are doing a European tour with Alexandra, she's from the state of Austria, and we will talk about their work there on a composite indicator for Austria.
Thank you for the invitation. My name is Alexandra Wegscheider-Pichler, and yes, it's easy for me. I'm from the National Statistical Institute of Austria, and we conducted a new composite indicator to measure energy poverty last year.
Turn on the mic, sorry. Just to be the best. Okay.
Is it okay?
No,
Is it
again.
no?
Just to be great.
Yeah, no, it's good. Okay. Yes. We started in Austria for the first indicator in 2016 with data from the microcensus energy. It's data about the energy consumption of households. We did several reports, and from 2021 on, we used two different data sources. We included the AO-Silk data in the reporting. We got a growing number of indicators and an increasing complexity. Also, there are a lot of discussion about the thresholds we use, and the overall picture was missing. So I got a lot of calls like, well, your study is quite interesting, but it's so complex. And the next question, what is it? What is the one figure? So the first question is, why did we use two different data sources? Well, because we started with the microcensus energy, what is the most comprehensive data we have in Austria. It has costs and quantities, so we could also look at where's the energy used for cooking, for heating, for hot water, and we calculated the first indicator for the high energy costs with low income. But we didn't have the indicator about households that use less energy than they should use, because this is an AO-Silk. So we took these two indicators in parallel. We looked at the structures of the households, but it increased the complexity, and we could not aggregate the data because it's of two different data sources. So in 2025, we looked at the EU Energy Efficiency Directive that mandated the composite indicator. Because we were commissioned by the Coordination Office on Energy Poverty to calculate the broad overview. So we did 17 indicators, and we discussed the complexity also with stakeholders, and then a concept of a composite indicator emerged. It was quite a pragmatic approach. We considered the main key aspects of energy poverty, like high energy costs, like the other households that could not afford to keep their housing warm, like payment arrears, and like poor energy efficiency in households, in housing. And we combined them, and we based it on the EU directive proposal. We focused on AO-Silk, so we omitted the microcensus energy data because we could not include it. And a single data source allowed to calculate the composite indicator, so the households that were affected for more than one aspect of energy poverty were counted only once. We had a broad stakeholder engagement. We coordinated with the KIA, but also in alignment with other experts in workshops. And it was just in time to get it in the Austrian Energy Poverty Definition Act. That's what I'm really proud of, because it was like, well, 1 month later and it wouldn't have happened. Yeah. And the Definition Act was adopted in December 2025. And it states several of the individual energy poverty indicators and the composite indicators. So it became the main national indicator for monitoring energy poverty in Austria. So take a look at it. You see the 4 components, the 4 single aspects of energy poverty we used. It's the high energy costs and the risk of poverty. We used the inability to keep the home adequately warm. We used the payment arrears due to financial constraints and the poor housing conditions, again with the risk of poverty. If you just sum up these 4 indicators, you get a total of 15.7% of households, but this is an overestimation because like 20% of the households are affected by more than one risk of aspect of energy poverty. So if you calculate it with the data, you get 12.5% of households in Austria that are energy poor. You can also see that it's much easier to see the development of energy poverty over time because you have just one single figure. You see the effect of the energy crisis in 2022 and the rise of energy poverty for 23 and 24. So the benefit, I think, of the composite indicator is quite clear. It reduces the complexity. It provides an overview. It's the key figure for national monitoring if it's accepted. It's based on the EU directive, so it can also be used for the EU reporting. And what we learned, we do a study at the moment that will be finished on Friday, is you have a stronger focus on the vulnerable groups because you can show more effective what groups of households are energy poor with one indicator than with 17. For instance, for low-income groups, there are up to 40% of some income groups energy poor when the average is 12.5. One example, if you look at the single-parent families and energy poverty, you see for the single indicators, like 9.8% of them are energy poor. No, it's 6.7. No, it's 25% of the single-parent families are energy poor in Austria. So, actually, the development was quite simple. The data was there. So why did it take so long to do it? Well, like we discussed it a lot. First of all, it was state-of-the-art, also internationally, using a wide range of indicators, having a dashboard of energy, like for high energy costs, there are, I don't know, 10 different indicators out in the world. So just change it. But to do the definition, do the decision would be nice on the European level and then compare. And what I see is that data gap still is on the regional level because I can not even go down to the 9 regions in Austria because there's still is not.
At the National Statistics Office, what happens there is the money. So of course we are all in the room. We want data on energy, on consumption, on buildings. But then there are other people in other rooms saying we need more information on health, on education, on transportation, whatever. So my feeling is that it is really hard to get statistical representative data when we are trying to go for neighborhood level and so on. So it's impossible usually for the National Statistics Office to collect that data, but you can tell me maybe more on that.
Yes, but in this case, we used the data that was there, and we used EOSILC data that is there.
Visible to scale to Italy, and then visible to scale to Italy, and then to Italy and Spain, and then to Europe overall. Here we can discuss on your different approaches, the four of you. How do you think this can go up and down on the same methodology and the same data set?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to scale up with the same methodology that we used for Parma because it was, let's say, tailored to the city with the data available in Italy and for the local government in Italy and for the local government. So the methodology we could use for the national scale, but not for European scale. That's the same for each country, but really a small scale detail like census area, as you say, as you saw in the slide. It's a really high resolution, so maybe we should lower the resolution in order to use the same methodology, maybe to widen in the whole Europe. But it's really depending on the data available in each country, of course, if you don't use the European data.
Well, if staying in the silk logic, it's easy to scale up to Europe. And on the national level, it's fine, but you can almost not go down because the survey is not big enough. So we cannot even do it for the 9 regions. If we do it, you have a huge bias and a lot of discussion also because it's very different between the regions and you have to to justify why it's different, then it's a problem.
Yeah, I can tell that we have done a work to be published really soon in Athens, where we identified severe regions of energy poverty across all member states. So, and even there, we have to tailor the energy efficiency directive for indicators, because we wanted to have indicators that have available regional data. Meaning that the four that are on the ED are not available, not for have regional data, so we have to bring other ones as housing, the overburden cost and so on, to try to get these multiple dimensions of energy poverty.
We have three different and let's say adjusted methodologies for each municipality, and we discuss with a municipality from another country and see how indeed we can apply our approach to them in order to be useful. I think we'll be able to capture a wide spectrum of knowledge across the EU that will also help answer this discussion of how we go from the local to the national and even at the
So Sophia, the thing is that on the social climate fund, we did target right? So we need the higher level of detail within countries, within neighborhoods, within cities. From the technical support you have provided, what have you found from the different countries, how you can do that? Because one thing is setting the national indicator or assessment, but then the
focusing just on the new ETS tool and how we could assist those. So those three new indicators, it was even harder for them because those three new indicators should also focus in all EU level. So we have to extrapolate all the work that each member state has done in having something common, accepted by all, and be even more precise with the reduction of new ETS. So the vulnerable households, the vulnerable transport, and the vulnerable micro enterprises were with three new indicators included, but of course it is based on the data that you all mentioned, and also we had the difficulties that were mentioned, but it is something that it is commonly fortunately accepted, that I would also suggest to try to include it in your energy poverty new census that you have that you just have provided, and maybe this is something that you could also add in the map that you have provided about the study that you will do at the EPAH. So because okay, we can continue discussing about energy poverty, but since now we also have the vulnerability aspect as a new parameter in all the discussions, I think that it should be something that should be included somehow in all the indicators discussion and not.
Thank you. So 15 minutes to the end of the session, but I have here, let's say, two more questions, but let's start with them and we'll see. So I think most of you talked about the stakeholders, right? So my question is one, and you have briefly mentioned, but I want to reinforce that. So how have you engaged with your stakeholders? And maybe the specific question will be, how do you think the stakeholder engagement affected somehow data collection, the results itself? Like there was a priority on a specific indicator or a specific selection of data. Maybe you can bring that to.
Show the results with the municipality, and they agree on the best part of it. And we are like waiting for the survey to be analyzed of the vulnerable households, but really at the low scale level, it's really important the engagement of the local government. And a higher scale level, I think we lose that link to the local government, so to the knowledge of the government of the city.
Thank you. Yeah, I also agree that there are different perspectives when we're trying to connect to the European level and the national level. Because one thing is saying that Portugal is worse than Greece or better than Italy, but for policy making, let's say at the Portuguese level, it's irrelevant if we are better and worse than Austria. We need to know where are the priority regions. We need to know where are the vulnerable neighborhoods. Cities need to know where to act on renovation, on social support and so on. So my final question, and because we have 7-8 minutes, let's do another round. It's more on policy, the connection with indicators with policy. We're just mentioning this, like policymakers can do a policy and then someone, maybe you on your case, you need to follow up with some data and process. But I think this is important because what I've seen across Europe and also in Portugal is that sometimes the indicators defined now that we have a lot of countries have strategies, some have observatories, as we have heard yesterday, sometimes policies coming from the recovery resilience plan, hopefully not the ones coming from the social climate plans, cannot be effectively translated by indicators. So the sensitivity of indicators when you are investing 100 million euros on renovation, and then if you don't have a clear indicator that could grasp that movement, we have a problem, right? So the indicators are just a representation of reality, but not being able to monitor reality. So I would go for that question. So how do you think indicators, what's the process to be really helpful for policy making? From farmer perspective or from marketing, I see that because it's closely connected with what is available and so on, but maybe we can explore, maybe we can start with you and any final reference you want to make. So
Okay.
just this one.
Yeah, for Parma, of course, the final aim of the project is to promote some policies that can face and can deal with the energy poverty phenomenon in particular areas of the city. So the indicators are really important, I think, not only to map, but also to create an engagement to raise awareness around the governments, the local governments and the national governments on the criticalness of this phenomenon, which is affecting our days in the current period as well. So I think the indicators can be like a method to reach the government at the local level and a national level, but of course we need them to cooperate with us and to understand the phenomenon and the problem itself.
Thank you.
Well, I think output indicators are always important because it takes so long to see any development. But still you see for the energy crisis, the rise of the energy poverty, so it reacts, yes. But as you said, for the figures, it's always easier to take an input indicator to see the impact of quality. Yeah, and in the best of all worlds, you would also get the results in the output indicator. You should get it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. What I would add is that from this, in this occasion and under the Social Climate Fund and the new years, I think there's the chance to have structural changes because up to date, the greater amount of money is allocated, let's say, in ad hoc solutions on social tariffs, on that aim to protect vulnerable people, which is very important. But I think that we have the chance to move on beyond any structural changes, and this process, grasping from the local perspective that we have in the local project, I think that the municipalities, except for theoretically being the contact point, they should be the contact point, and to do so, I think, except for adding to raising awareness, I think also building capacities within municipalities is very important. I think we have a good practice here in Athens where the municipality has established an energy cooperative office. I think this is something that we also
We'll visit in the afternoon.
Oh, yes. This is something that we would like also to transfer in the case of Piraeus under the local team project with establishing contact point with expertized staff that can support people choose the best options, being, let's say, the intermediary in this process.
Okay, I will agree with all of you, and I'll just make it like so. We need indicators. We definitely need indicators because indicators really reflect the real vulnerabilities, not just the theoretical ones, but try to reflect the real vulnerabilities. So when we combine income, energy, expenditures, and ability to invest in solutions, it is really important. It is really important to be comprehensive, even from the policymakers, in order to reflect their policies. So any kind of data that would be included in the indicator must be actionable. So, as we know, policymakers need the results. Of course, we can just
continue discussing any kind of social indicators that do not have specific percentages, but this will not really assist the policymakers. The policymakers need indicators that clearly show who is affected, where it is affected, and to what extent it is affected in order to target them and support them, especially the social climate fund. And also, while we definitely need indicators, but as you all three mentioned, and I completely agree, is that we need to align those kind of indicators with the policy tools, and mainly for the financial instruments, because okay, it's okay to have indicators, then we can have some policy instruments, but those two should be aligned in order to target and in order to assist the most valuable or the most energy poor citizens. Only if we could follow that kind of process, maybe we could have more pragmatic results that would make sense.
Thank you. So now I open the floor for one or two questions. Yeah, where would you think? Can you?
Thank you very much. My name is Emma Michalina. I am head of the Energy Efficiency Department of the Energy Regulator of Greece. I'd like to point out this, what you have raised as an issue now, and I'm also doing politics at the local level, at the municipality. So if you ask now this municipality, which are any indicators or any data concerning the energy poverty, they don't have a clue, okay? If, as a regulator, as a head with the Energy Efficiency Department, I want to do some policy based on the real data on energy poverty for Greece, again, I will have to look everywhere, find some data. Because I'm working on European projects as well, I think the European Commission should really put an effort on this, on how the data and the indicators that are coming out of European projects, as Mrs. Coelho said very correctly, could be on the platform, unique platform, and everybody, the policymakers, could go in there, okay, either we are regulators, or we are mayors, or we are ministers, or whatever, we are going there and to retrieve this data and do our work, okay, and those data should be certified, should be final, and should be updated on the basis of your research. I think this is very, very crucial in order for the policy making of not only national level, but also European level, to be consistent and calibrated. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's a comment, isn't it?
Yeah. Any other question? And I'll come back to that. No? Yeah. Okay. Maybe I can even reply on the perspective of what we are doing, and then I'll show. I'm showing there the EPAH dashboard of indicators. So that's exactly the effort we are trying to establish. So we started to, let's say, structure the indicators on a framework on, and you can see on the top, on climate, on housing, on socioeconomic indicators, on mobility, on health. So trying to, on energy prices. So trying to structure what are the key areas that kind of intertwine with energy poverty. And then we are progressing with what is available out there at the European level. So we are not looking, so what information is available in Piraeus or what information is available in Parma, because that's super difficult on a top-down perspective to collect every municipality across Europe. But what we are doing now, and you can see on this map, is NUTS 2 level, NUTS 3 level. So what indicators that people commonly use, like they need to keep the house adequately warm, are available at regional level. So we are trying to progress on that avenue. Yesterday we have further discussion also about the energy performance certification. So if we go to Greece, that's a different system from Italy, from Austria, from Portugal. We cannot compare those. So we need to align and try to also the Commission in different DGs and so on to pursue those harmonization efforts, because for me as well, I agree, energy performance certification is a basic pillar for homes renovation, for the social climate fund, on the perspective of prioritization of the worst performance buildings. But I understand your concern. And in EPAH, what we try to do, not only with the dashboard, because now, and you have it outside as well, we have the country fishes, where we try to tackle a bit that, like we look into the country, then are there any relevant regional projects that can help cities and do the work? So we try to do that. We have the lunch talks, we have the working groups, also for that purpose. So, for example, Dimitris is there and discusses what's happening in Piraeus. You are from another city in Greece, you can have that information from him, mostly then from another country that maybe data is different, the process of administrative data sets and so on are also different. But yes, that's a long way to I would say that's a long road we have to still to go, because we have now 8 or 9 countries with the national coordination structure, so with observatories. We have only a few countries with the national definition. We started to have, for example, Austria just recently, Portugal also in the last couple of years. Others are still only thinking now what could be the indicator, what could be the definition, creating structure. So that's a pathway we are pursuing. I think we are doing much better than like 4 years ago. There was almost nothing. There's a lot ongoing, but I don't have a definite answer for you. I see the concern. We try in EPAH to do that, try to mitigate slightly that process with what we know, what is available, and especially on things like this, to share with the community. Maybe now you know better our dashboard, you know what Locate is doing in 3 cities. Maybe if you are from these countries, you can reach out to him. The same for all the other examples we have earlier today. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention. I think everybody is awake on this sofa, so it's amazing. Great also for the speakers, and congratulations for the work. And now we have a coffee break outside here and also on the floor upstairs. So depending maybe on the session you are going after, you can choose here or no. Thank you very much. Very good. Yes, we have done it. It's 24.
Welcome to the second session, digitalization of energy poverty services, limits and opportunities. I'd like to ask if you want to sit more in the front, because of the air conditioning behind it was difficult to hear in the previous session.
Sure, love to.
Yeah. Okay, so this session combines project-based experiences, insight, and comparative EU initiatives to explore how digitalization can address energy poverty services, taking into account also limits and opportunities. So we have prepared a very interesting panel that will help us explore both the opportunities and the limits of digitalization. We will begin with the European perspective and then move to a series of practical examples and reflections from different projects and institutions. And of course, we welcome you to ask your queries and maybe debates or doubts. So we will start with a speaker's presentation. We will have a total of 7, so we'll try to make 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes presentation, and then we will open the round of discussion. Okay, so let us start with the European perspective. Digitalization is becoming a central element of energy policy across the EU, from building renovation data to digital energy services. So the first question is directed to our keynote speaker from the Veronique Mar, team leader in Just Transition. So Veronique, from European Commission perspective, how can digitalization support energy poverty policies, and what initiatives is the EU currently promoting?
Thank you very much.
It's green.
Can you? Yeah, yes. It's already. Yeah. Thank you, Marta. And of course, we support digitalization in the European Commission, as we see many benefits that can come out of digitalization. But of course, there's also risks. It's about putting in place framework that ensures that these risks don't happen, especially with the digital divide, that there's no people that are left behind in such a digital divide. But indeed, the European Commission will soon publish a strategic roadmap for the digitalization and artificial intelligence in the energy sector. The aim is really to accelerate the deployment of artificial intelligence in the energy system, to make the energy system
But the aim of this strategic roadmap is really to accelerate the deployment of digitalization and artificial intelligence in energy system with the aim to make it more efficient and less costly. So this strategic roadmap will look at areas. One is about unlocking the high quality interoperable energy data, foster smarter energy services. And here, for example, when you look at how this could benefit energy poverty, we think that it would help member states and municipalities to better identify who are the people in energy poverty. For example, by having data on patterns of consumption, but also patterns of paying the bill. So if there's an abnormal pattern, it might indicate that there's a situation of vulnerability and the municipality, and that when we could step in. A second part of this strategy will look at how artificial intelligence can be used to optimize the generation and consumption of energy, so making the system more efficient, smarter, and less costly. And also here, when it comes to energy poverty, of course, if people can understand better the consumption and can regulate their consumption because they have tools to actually look at the energy that they consume and get automatic advice on how they can use it less or smarter, that would of course help them to reduce their energy bill, and we would either prevent or be able to reduce energy poverty. So the strategy will be published in a few weeks' time. We all look forward to it, and I will also share this maybe through the newsletter of EPAH so that you can consult the strategy, which also include other actions that will be undertaken in that area. And then I would also like the opportunity to announce that also the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub will soon, well not soon, but will at some point release the guidelines on digitalization for local governments to complement the general methodology that they have on tackling energy poverty. And the guidance will raise specific points of attention for local decision makers and will illustrate in good concrete examples on how to better articulate digitalization with energy poverty measures. But our work also doesn't stop here. We will be working on a new recommendation on energy poverty that we hope to release or to publish by the end of this year. And we also want to include a chapter there on digitalization. I think this is really where there's a lot of potential still to develop more measures that could be carried out by member states or local authorities. So we are very interested in this topic, and we'll be carefully listening today to hear from you where you see good practices and where you see room for more support or actions from the European Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will stay tuned to this strategy, this EPA guideline, and of course the energy poverty recommendation to see how digitalization is included. Thank you very much for setting the European context. We will now move from policy to practical digital solutions. Our next speaker is Stefano Fava from Planet Smart City, who will present the Probate project.
Hello?
Yeah, okay.
Let's work.
So the question for you is, how can digital tools increase energy awareness and contribute to housing affordability? And what lessons have emerged from the Probate project?
Yeah, thank you so much, Marna, and thank you to the organizing committee. I really appreciate all the intervention, the remarks from the commissioner and commission. Yeah, sorry. You're pretty comfortable with the sofas. Quite things. So I'm happy to share some insights about in-ground experience. I had the privilege to run in a social housing district in Milano, where the piloting activity of the project take place. So there, our aim was and is actually how to unlock people awareness and capability of rationalize the use of energy with the support of digital means. We, as Planet Smart City, are a real estate developer and digital service provider. We are actually targeting social housing, so residential district in social housing, trying to make housing affordability all also recurring to digital needs. And this is an example how our intervention is. When we need, before entering the digital services, we need to make one step behind and discuss the entry point, how we can reach the end user and making them, empowering them also with digital needs. And I've been hearing a lot in the panel discussion and another intervention, the key importance of building trust. And this is one of our very strategical initial path in the journey. So we do have a business unit which is focused on community management and community activation. And there is where we start the journey while supporting social housing communities in being more aware about the resources and the energy one. So digital awareness begins with creating trust and overcoming some barriers the energy poverty is presenting, which are not merely economical ones, but they are also related to capability of control, literacy, and of course trust. While introducing our solution, we should keep in consideration both energy poverty issue and also digital divide. So we've been facing a compounded risk whilst trying to present and engage people by offering digital tools. So exploring such a complex domains like the energy one, we must keep in mind that we can have a bounce effect. So the interest raised from the end user, and they must be part of the journey how to structure and deploy useful digital services which can actively support their participation in energy management, energy savings at the end of the day. So the journey we are proposing, that we have proposed within the ProLife pilot project, was about the citizen lab format, which starts by asking and engaging the end users, instead leveraging on well-known people or organizations operating in field, and from there moving towards the raising on awareness and slightly introducing time by time the digital tools, keeping in mind that we need to take also the user needs. So the construction of digital features should be a participatory journey and experience. So in this way we can let's say bring up the interest and provide more effective and useful goods for the end user, but also for the whole system. And whilst thinking about the electricity one, then we should also consider that buildings can be a buffer of flexibility supporting grid stabilization and optimization. So the citizen lab approach works thanks to the community facilitators that are engaging physically, supporting the creation of groups of interest and widespreading some knowledge-based initiative around certain domains. This happens through workshop and foresees the participation during the whole pathway of human mediation that can assist the end user in the adoption of the digital tools. Although digital tools we are providing are free of charge for the end user, we must recognize that the adoption of such of means it's not trivial. It's important to dedicate time and time to trust, to create trust with the community we are working together. Then technology can, let's say, act as an amplifier. And that is where we've been testing and verifying the power of digital features. And yeah, I've made a selection of those we've been trying and are actually in use within the Urbana Social Housing District in Milano. Starting from real-time monitoring, that is really a power mean to, let's say, get people engaged, just trying to bring users back day by day and create understanding on the matter. So that's important. Then we try to find different triggers to engage and retain the participation of the end user. This can be, or actually the ones we've been trying are environmental related. So how much carbon footprint is embedded within the energy you're consuming, or and sending some nudging suggestions, some tips. If you are going to consume in 2 hours, then the carbon footprint will be lower or higher. So what if shifting your loads in a more environmental friendly time moment? Gamification approaches are also of essence to try to keep the attention high. The model we applied in this social housing district was creating common digital wallets, so where people accomplishing mission earn some balls, we call them, and put the balls onto a common wallet and unlocking the common one whilst reaching certain threshold. And that was a nice triggers. Over 2 years of monitoring of our ProLight initiative in Milano, we've been appreciating a slight reduction in energy consumption, which is about 12 to 18%. Of course, these are absolute values, so personal condition are not so explored, but as a mean value, and over 2 years, that is what we've been appreciating in energy reduction. We did create awareness and comprehension, and we've been sharing and collecting surveys both digitally and physically to check and verify whether the energy was digested at the end of the day and comprehended, with nice achievement, I would say. And same for what concerns the participation of end users within the digital means. So our analytics behind the Planet app shown that 70% of registered residents are keep on exploring their very own energy-related features, and that makes us happy. So key success factors for us in our journey were the facilitators who can really talk to people and understand their need and engage them in the definition of user need and the user experience needed to shape digital means. Local partnerships were to begin with, so can we leverage on well-known parties that can introduce us in a trust creation, and the feedback loops that we need to collect, so to let's say trying to follow interests and try to make digital media interesting, more used. And of course, an honest design of digital means is of essence, because it can happen that our results diverge from the objective we are willing to achieve, which are basically providing housing affordability, reduce the energy consumption, and stabilizing the grid, also thanks to digital means. And there is where regional frameworks are much needed, and the governance should work by side and have a look on this digital transformation. So I hope I share some actual information, just to say that there is no one digital solution that can solve problems, but trying to be here into the user needs and creating a sense of common goods is the very first step, and the digital mean can scale and act as an amplifier to reach our common objective. I thank you so much for your attention. Look forward for your questions. Have a nice day.
Thank you for sharing the experience of the project, 2 years monitoring. Interesting the key and the successes, but also very interesting to share the limits, no? Because we are here to learn, and what are the limits of digitalization. Exactly. Thank you. And one of the key successes that Stefano mentioned was the partnership, and the importance of partnership. And digitalization is not only about individuals, but also about ecosystems and the cooperation between actors. So this is why we invite here Athanasios Lavropoulos from the Cluster of Bioeconomy and Environmental of Western Macedonia, to show the opportunities that digitalization offers for energy poverty services at regional level.
Thank you, Marta. Good morning, everybody. My voice is already very loud, so try to keep it low. Thank you so much. So, since the projects that I'm going to describe involve a lot of our local ecosystem, the local actors, and are really regional based, let me start with a short introduction of our organization and our region, because there are some unique characteristics that let's say determines all this effort trying to tackle energy poverty, improve energy efficiency, etc. So, the region of Western Macedonia is based on the northwest part of Greece. It's like a region of 250,000 inhabitants, a continental climate with a very, very high need for heating demand. But the most unique characteristic is that Western Macedonia, our region, was the energy heart of Greece. Almost all of the lignite power plants was located there. 4 out of 5 lignite power plants. No, only one is still operating. So, given all the mandates from the European Union that we have to shift our model, go to more clean energy production, we face this transition from the lignite, from the coal, to clean energy technology. So we try to establish, to find new business model in order to keep all this, let's say, growth, and to try to reduce the rate of unemployment that is one of the huge problems in our region. And how our organization helps on that is that the cluster of Western Macedonia is a regional cluster, is a platform, a cooperative platform that involves all the local ecosystem, the municipalities, research institute, our university, SMEs, and of course citizens. And all together we try to shift this business model, to shift our economy to circular economy, to clean energy, and to new business model that can, let's say, reassure our viability as a region. And how we do that is through the implementation of the European projects. European projects are the main source of funding of our organization. Currently, we're running more than 70 projects involving all the local stakeholders based on the nature of the project. And energy efficiency, energy poverty, renovation of the building stock, both private and public buildings, are a very high priority for us and one of our key pillars of action. Some characteristics that are very logical for our region is that due to the, as I mentioned before, to the cold climate, the high heating demand, the income decline due to this transition, and the inefficient and aging building stock, Western Macedonia faces, let's say, huge percentages of energy poverty. 1 out of 3 households cannot afford to heat adequately their buildings. They have to pay a lot, more than 10% of their income to cover the energy needs. And keep in mind something very important. Our citizens, our buildings, used to take advantage of the district heating network due to the operation of this lignite power plant. And I will give some indicative numbers. Let's say 2-3 years before, not a lot, we, let's say this transition phase started 5-6 years before. So the cost of the thermal megawatt hour when the lignite power plants were under full operation was like 20 to 30 euros per megawatt hour, meaning cheap energy so people can adequately keep their homes warm. Nowadays, is like 80 to 90 euros per megawatt hour due to this, let's say, closure of the power plants. So that increases the percentages of energy poverty, and given the high rate of unemployment, this creates a very, very huge problem for us. So we'll now describe these 3 initiatives that are very, let's say, characteristics on how we try to, let's say, using digital tools, using digital solution to, let's say, involve the whole value chain of the energy poverty, meaning from increasing the awareness, from letting people know what is energy poverty. Am I energy poor? Okay, indicators, KPIs, numbers are fine, but people cannot understand them. People can only understand if they cannot keep warm their home and they have to use blankets or jackets in order to stay in and to watch a movie during the night, for example. So the first one is elite adults. Martin here, my colleague, is very much, his expertise is much more on that and he will describe better the project. However, in our region, we conducted a survey among 100 to 150 citizens. Here, 550 adults is the total number of the project. So it was a survey regarding the needs assessment, the energy need assessment of these citizens with different characteristics: economic, social, educational, employment, and so on. And that revealed a huge gap between the awareness of what is energy efficiency, good practices, what and how I can renovate my house, how I can read an energy bill, which is the cost of the megawatt hour, the electric and the thermal, why the cost is that high, even if I'm not, let's say, using the heating system or the cooling system or any other electrical device, support schemes that can help me renovate my house and, let's say, make my quality and the comfort of my living better. And all this revealed that this is much, much higher in people with lower income, with, how to say that, with slightly low educational profiles, like university degree or something like that. So based on these findings, we created these learning modules, these digital modules, in order to help them understand what are their needs, how they quantify their needs, and what they can do to solve them. This is the most important part for us. In different languages, because projects involve partners from a lot of countries. So what we revealed is that this learning module, this platform, was very beneficial for them because it gave access and reliable information, updated information on all that I mentioned before. What is energy consumption, what is energy efficiency, and the most important, solution. This is every time what they ask. Okay, everything is okay, I can enter to the platform, I can see what is that, these financing tools, how I can implement them to my dwelling, to my building. And another important thing is that in a free market, you can find this type of information, for example, provided through the municipality services or through some freelancers, professionals like engineers, where you can go to their offices and ask what I can do for my building, how I can improve energy efficiency, and so on. but in remote villages, in areas that engineers are not existing anymore because every one of them has moved to the city center, they cannot easily access to that type of information. Also, these learning modules revealed another issue that elderly people and people with, let's say, and people, I have to say, not very familiar with digital tools, even with a laptop, a PC or a tablet or their smartphone, even they don't have a smartphone so they cannot use it. We see that this is a gap that we have to solve, and so we can go very, very back and try to learn them how to use their smart device in order to have access to these learning modules. But in any case, in all, this was a very effective approach because this personal communication with all these people somehow increased the trust between us and them, that we are here to help you even with very, very simple things like opening your tablet, for example, not only trying to make you understand what is energy efficiency, what is energy renovation, and so on. Another different but also very good example was from the ProLight project, something completely different compared to what Stefano presented before. It was a sponsorship-driven social house renovation, meaning that again we conducted a survey among citizens of social housing, that live in social houses. We posed some key characteristics like income, like number of childs, and so on. And so we conducted in 3 dwellings. We try to convince the sponsors to do this for free, to renovate these buildings. But here the most important is that for us, and in order to use this as a good example, not as a sponsor-driven renovation, because it's not every time easy to find money to renovate buildings, that we need to find out the energy behavior of these citizens. So we installed some smart meters, devices to measure the CO2 concentration, the temperature, the radiant temperature, the air velocity, and some other parameters, technical parameters, before the renovations and after the renovations, in order to see how this helped to change their energy behavior, because we talk about people that they are really on the edge of energy poverty. We don't have some results as of now, because now these works are, let's say, at the final stage, and I hope to come back next year with these results. Yes, so these are some images for your reference. And last one is the resonance project. Again, in some cities with the same characteristics, people with low income, vulnerable people, where we installed smart meters to measure their electricity consumption. But this goes further because through some cloud, through some AI solutions, we try to take this consumption, and the national TSO and DSO of electricity, Ito and Hendro, are involved in this project in order to see how we can make a dynamic profile of the electricity price, the daily electricity price, this consumption, and if they, I don't know how they will do that, they can create some, some specific billing profiles for these people, for these vulnerable people, given their energy consumption on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. So sorry for being that late.
Thank you, Lampropoulos.
Lampropoulos. Yes. Thank you so much.
So giving like an overview about from energy literacy to energy monitoring and digitalization. So let's go to energy poverty. Let me introduce my colleagues, Monica Planas from ABB and Cristina Ramos from EcoSurveys. They're going to say in Barcelona there is an energy poverty service from 10 years now. And last year the service started a digitalization process, so to provide better the digitalization of the service. So the question for you is, what happens when traditional energy advice services become digital? What benefits and challenges can be observed?
Okay, thank you, Marta. Good morning. Well, first of all, thank you because it's a nice place to share our experiences and learn from others and try to make all the knowledge we are earning in our country with all of you because at the end of the day, it's the point, no? If we learn from each other, we can improve better or with our projects. So I'm presenting today the Climate Ready Barcelona. It's a project focused on climate adaptation and energy vulnerability and data-driven decision making. So that's what is in this table. First of all, I would like to introduce a little bit. This project is a European project funded by local governments for sustainability, CLAIM for friends, and supported by Google Action Fund. So the partners are Ecosurveys, RD, they are TeamNet and Bidata and the Barcelona City Council. I'm not going to introduce Barcelona because I know all of you knows where is Barcelona city. I have to remark that it's Barcelona City, not Barcelona area, because afterwards Cristina will explain about the area. And this partnership has been essential because each partner brings their experience and their knowledge from social intervention, as RD, to data modeling, as Bidata and Thimner, that are very experienced in data and knowledge and taking back data. So this is very multidisciplinary and impactful in different areas. And has been designed to assist citizens and public authorities in Barcelona City preparing for adapting to the impacts of climate change. It's trying to go farther away, not only being in the cities and their consumes, is trying to do policy recommendations to try to afford the energy crisis related with climate change. So, here you have the website that you can find all the information that you need about the methodology, the results, and all the publicly available information that has the project.
Okay, so well, thank you also to invite us to this table about the digitalization. And it's very nice to meet with people that are working with the same, the same line of us. I think it would be very interesting to share with you after this presentation all our experience. Okay, then before we get into that, because I'm going to explain you La meva energia, that it's in Catalan, it's my energy. This is an app web that we are working with now. And before getting into the details of this digital solution, I want to explain you a little some information of our history, about ABD and Ecosurveys. ABD is a social action organization, and Ecosurveys is an environmental association. And we started working together in 2012 to tackle energy poverty. They had the knowledge about energy. We have vulnerable people and that we were assisting in our services, different kind of services that I'm not going to explain because we work with a lot of collectives in vulnerable context. And our first steps were with a group of volunteers. Okay, we started with this, then we when energy poverty started to be in the agenda of politicians, we started a pilot in 2016 to tackle, to visit 3,000 households with 100 energy advisors that came from the social services. So our framework is always eco and social. This is not the way we work and where we move in the framework of intervention. Okay, next one. The pilot was a success in 2016, and 1 year later, the municipality of Barcelona created the energy advice points as a public service.
As you can imagine, as an civil society organizations, for us, be part of those who have made a public policy is possible, is a source of pride. No? What for us is it's a success. And as you see in the image, we manage 13 points, energy advice points, run by 50 professionals. And our main task are detect situations of vulnerability, and especially severe vulnerability or emergency related to energy, diagnosis of the household situation, advice and support in defending energy rights, and also information on consumption habits and local saving measures, etc. More or less the same that you are doing in your countries, I suppose. And then these are the numbers of our impact into 2025. We assisted 16,000 households, that means 45,000 people, and most of them are in a situation of energy poverty vulnerability. Instead, our services is done by everybody. It's a universal access. This is La Meva Energia, My Energy, and it's a web app. It's that you can have it in your mobile and also in the computer. It's multi-language, it's open source. I wanted to mention that it's also found by Next Generation funds that we can combine with the other funds we have. And it was really, well, it was an opportunity, a very huge opportunity to push a digital solution like this. My Energy has two sites. The first site is for the citizens. The app gives you the opportunity to call us if you have an emergency, a cut, for example, of electricity. You can analyze if your household is energy vulnerable or not with easy surveys. You can follow the steps you can consult and have energy efficiency recommendations. You can follow the steps to request aid or protection. You can receive notifications to remember administrative tasks or alerts related with heat waves, for example. And there is this first phase, and there is another phase that I haven't shown you. There is no slide. There is this one, but there is another phase for the professionals. Okay, the professionals. If you, for example, you are a vulnerable family, you can access that directly to our energy advice points. So you will be assisted by our professionals. So all the background is the background of the app is it's also adapted to the procedures of the professions. Okay, our goals to do this. You can also consult the app. And why we did it, why we were working with this, because our goals were the right to energy, increase the coverage of providing access to all the citizens, and also increase efficiency in care for vulnerable homes. Of course, these are the motivations, the bureaucratic procedures that we have if we want to help people to tackle their situation, and also the complex and obscure of the energy market. Then here you can see how we did it. It was, we did, I think, 8 co-design sessions with all the actors. It means with the municipality, the digital developers, the team that were in charge of artificial intelligence, connected with the map. So we were people from, of course, from the front line of the service, the agents, the advisory staff. All the people were in these 8 sessions, co-designing what we say you can see here in the app. Then you can see here the app. I will try to explain you a little the functionalities. The first thing we have in the app is the possibility to contact us if you have a cut, electricity cut or something like that, any emergency. It was very, very important for us. And then you have a lot of maybe the next one. You have a lot of surveys in order to detect which is your vulnerability level. It means if you are a household that you don't have vulnerability, you don't live in a vulnerability situation, you will have information, reliable information about efficiency, and also you can do order, and you will have a guide, step-by-step guidelines in order to do all the procedures to get more efficiency and more efficiency in your house. If you are vulnerable, the app will drive to the service. It means that it's going to open a calendar where you can ask for a visit, and you can be assisted in person, of course, if you have difficulties, not technological difficulties, and you can be assisted online if you don't have. So this is the idea of the tool. Okay. Yes. Then I don't know which is this one is the 12. Okay. I don't know, but we have no just two things. We have the 100 different procedures in this app, so it means that you can follow yourself all the step-by-step guidelines, but also you can be accompanied with a professional if you don't have skills. And then during the procedures, the citizens and the energy advisors can follow the status of all the intervention. For example, in this case, you can see here that you, as a citizen, you can upload the documentation, you can sign them, you can see if you have other steps pending, and then the professional in his dashboard can follow also your steps. So the communication. So okay. Then another one thing, all the templates for the professionals are pre-created, and all the bureaucracy has been simplified. The one. And then there are also automatic reminders. It means that, for example, if you have administration's procedures that are pending, we send you automatically a reminder, but also for climate alerts or something or other situations that we can throw in the other one. And then in general, we have been working in energy poverty during a lot of years now, maybe 10, I think. And always our goal as organizations has been to be very aware about the data that we collect. In that moment with My Energy, we are collecting a lot of data, and that's why we were interested to create a new project and other outputs with all the information that we have.
So yes, there is a vulnerability map. I was introducing it before, but Monica has to explain this because all the data we have for the vulnerability map comes from the La Meva Energia and from the one-stop shops that she was explaining are in the city. So the thing is, to build that map, you need data. I mean, you have to get the real map data from the citizens. And that's why La Meva Energia is a tool complementary to the map. So it takes information from there. There is different indicators that we get from the one-stop shops and from the. Okay. I know too many people. Yeah. Thank you. So, uh, this is the view that you have from the map. You can see the city with the different colors, and you can show up with the indicators every time that you need from the. You can put any indicator you want. I will show you in another slide, and then from there you can see the needs of the situation of the city related with the climate change and related with the real situation of the population respect to the vulnerability. So here you have the concrete information as well, because we get information from people, from each of the flats of the city, each of the families that lives in it, but the vulnerability can be really so precise, because if not, you can really identify the people, and that's not a good thing about vulnerability. So we try to do the granularity, so even and do blocks of urban blocks of information to don't identify in this building for people lives people who are vulnerable. So that's very important to remark, because we have to protect the citizens and more the vulnerable citizens. So that's the indicators of the city that we have. There are a lot of indicators that we can get to build up the map, and then that makes you a real situation of the city about the vulnerability. You can see the age of the buildings, if they are renovated or not renovated, if they have certificates or not, they are not certificates in that area, if there is the kind of energy they use for heating. Well, you can see a lot of information to build that map. So from all the apps that you were showing before is the same. You can really get a lot of information from a house where you have a FRG or whatever energy data source, and then build up something that makes you a picture, and then give you information to afterwards act before gets a climate crisis in your city, and then you can react before and only afterwards, like the prevention thing. So you can do policy recommendations to the municipality, because you have a lot of information from your city about your city, so your citizens and their use of their energy. That you can plan activities as well, because if you know there is an area where they are not having trees, and it's very dry area, and they really need to lower down the temperature of that area, and you want to do like a planning, urbanistic planning, but you need really to make the people there understand why you are doing so many changes as well. And if you do it with the real data of the area, helps a lot of more to do the policy recommendation and activities. This is try to make you understand from where comes the data. Monica was explaining the PAE is the one-stop shops, and so the data comes directly from the citizens who go to the one-stop shops, and they give their information with the surveys, and then another people who goes directly with the La Meva Energia and answer to the information through La Meva Energia. So we get information from the invoices of the energy invoices, and we get information from DataDis. That means that data comes directly from the energy consumes, the real energy consumes they have in their houses. So that's very interesting, but you have to have the permission of each family for each house to get that information. That makes very challenging, but it's possible. We are doing it in this project with like a pilot. So I'm doing it very fast. So, but this is the measures, the security measures that are very important, because as I was explaining before, you can't really identify the person where you're talking about. And so you have to be sure that you are encrypting the data, anonymizing the data, making risk assessment about it's not gonna be identified that person in all the map, verify all the procedures, that there's not any broken place or where they could find how to, anybody can find how to get the family who is vulnerable, and or any security breach. Well, like any informatic really program or thing like that, you really have to be very cute with protection data.
Well, we don't have time to explain the assessments. So I just want to say that my energy is deployed in PAES, in the stop, how do you say, the stop, one-stop shop, since the 1st of April of 2025. So we are not in a pilot, we are working with more of 16,000 households from them. And just, I don't know if we have time to at least say something interesting about the challenges that we have in front, maybe.
Yeah, well, reach the vulnerable people is difficult. We have a little bit of the good thing that we have the one-stop shop, so that makes it easier for us to get the information and to ask them to sign down the data protection thing, to get the data, this information directly from the company, and not with the invoices that makes it slower, but still is difficult to reach people and get them interest to be part of the project. Digitalize the energy poverty as usual is difficult as well, because make it easy to understand as well to all the behavior of the people when they all have all the information together in a digital way, but it still is a challenge for us. Remain inclusive and ethical, because as we were saying, that the data protection is very important, and you can do a lot of very bad things with data from people and they consume at home. So it's very challenging as well to be very, very ethical. And the replication is another challenge as well, because to reach small municipalities is difficult, because they don't have one-stop shops. They want them, but they don't have them because they don't have the money to finance them. And rural areas are the other big challenge, because at the end of the day, they are quite spread as well, and they are not so much induced to work with energy because they don't have the resources.
And before finishing, I would like to add another challenge that we have, and maybe you too. It's how to engage municipalities with when you are introducing digital innovation in their services, in the public services. I think it's something to share here and to tackle together, because my energy could be more open to the citizens, but nowadays we are just working with vulnerable people. So that's there. As you said, as you can see, we work with a lot of people, but we have barriers to open the digitalization to all the citizens and all the populations in Barcelona. And that's why now, and the problem is to how the municipalities can give you support to do this. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica and Cristina. The existing service already digitalized and experiences, so thank you for sharing the challenges. And now, what we thought it was interesting to share that once an energy digitalization service has been implemented, has been tested, that the ideal is not to remain it as a pilot, but to scale it or to replicate it. So this is why we have invited Cristina Chiva from Diputació of Barcelona to explain how do they plan to scale all these digitalization services in the whole province in Barcelona. So Cristina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marta. This is our challenge. Is scale this app you team to a regional level. So it's really a big challenge.
As Marta mentioned, I am Cristina Chiva Alonso. I am a social technique politician. I am speaking on behalf of the Barcelona Provincial Council within the Social Service Department. And I would like to thank this conference organizers for inviting us to take part in this round table. It is a pleasure for me sharing with you this journey, our job in this pilot project, My Energy. I will explain the context, the methodology, and how a regional authority like ours can scale digital public services across diverse municipalities. So, okay, thank you. So before going into the project itself, I would like to briefly introduce who we are. The Barcelona Provincial Council is a local government institution, a supramunicipal entity that represents a network of 311 municipalities. This is almost the 75% of the population of Catalonia. More than, very long, okay. More than 4.7 million people living in territories that range from large metropolitan cities to small rural municipalities. Our mission is to guarantee equity in access to public services. This includes providing economical and technical support so that municipalities can offer an equally and robust service, avoiding territorial inequalities. The governance model is really a challenge, but places us in a strategic position so we can design solutions at scale, test them in a controlled environment, and afterwards deploy them across the territory. Scaling a digital service like My Energy across the diverse areas such as the Barcelona province with very different socioeconomic realities and heterogeneous administrative systems involves several structural challenges that go far beyond technology. That requires an homogeneous model, but one flexible enough to adapt to different professional profiles, to adapt varying local IT systems, uneven levels of digitalization. So it's clear that we need a shared governance framework. The Barcelona Provincial Council has been working for years on digital innovation in social services. This is some examples: the telecare system, which offers people who are at risk due to advanced age, disability, or dependency the possibility of communicating from home 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with trained professionals who can provide help and support. Social service management platforms like Estia. This is an information system aims to facilitate the registration and management of basic social service case files. Also, we provide to professionals technological support for frontline professionals, tools for the development of the co-payment model for home care services. And also, we are in a collaboration with the Open Administration of Catalonia to automate the energy poverty certificate, which protects families from electricity disconnections. So energy poverty is a structural problem in the Barcelona region. The data is clear. 24% of the population is at risk of poverty. 17.5% suffers energy poverty. Many households are old with outdated infrastructures, inefficient and expensive to heat or cool. Furthermore, we have a law, the Catalonian Law 24/2015, requires public authorities to guarantee that vulnerable households maintain access to essential utilities. This is a fundamental social right, but it also introduces high complexity for municipalities who face fragmented procedures, duplicate efforts, and limited digital tools. Our pilot builds upon a decade of field intervention with the energy poverty audit programs. It is a cross-sector work between social services, housing, and environmental area. More than 6,300 audits and interventions since 2014 in vulnerable households, reach over 4,100 families and more than 16,000 people from 213 municipalities, supported with consumption optimization, tariff changes, and improvements in household conditions. This long-term experience allows us to identify both the strengths of intervention and also the limitation of these programs. They are expensive, they are difficult really to scale, and rely on specialized staff. This led us to an essential conclusion. We have to go a step further and expand our coverage. To scale, we need to digitalize the model. So, the data gathered over these years of audit program is vast and extremely valuable. Many households rely on low and unstable incomes, and in significant proportion struggles with overdue bills, and also interventions generated tangible savings up to 26% annually per household through optimized tariffs and improved well-being. This evidence reinforced that our belief that proactive, digital, and standardized service could reach many more people with fewer resources. With this background, and after learning about my energy application, we thought it could be a good solution for our objectives: reduce energy poverty by improving access to subsidies, rights, and procedures, improve coordination between social services, energy offices, and municipal departments, create an unified telematic service that simplifies processes, online appointment management, digital document handling, social rate applications, and energy consumption and optimization tools. Also, co-create this service with local professionals to ensure a long-term adoption and territorial coherence. This service includes the possibility for citizens with greater technological skills to download and use the application to improve their energy bills, check whether they qualify for the social rates, and consult energy efficiency recommendations. Alternatively, they can go to their local council, where a staff member will help them download the application and, if necessary, arrange an appointment by telephone, by email, with a video conference, with an advisor who will carry out the required procedures. We are aware that we are not able to reach everyone, and that some people will only be able to receive support at local, in person. However, the population is increasingly used to using these digital tools. So another of our goals is to empower the citizens to use this tool and complete their own procedures independently by themselves. This would allow us to reserve in-person support for those people that need it most and who will find it difficult to learn to use this type of tool. So the pilot process and phases is the first one phase: initial analysis design with definition of technical and functional requirements, design of workflow, service architecture, and identification of technological and human resource. The second phase, for me, is the key of all the process, is the co-creation with municipalities. 4 municipalities and 2 county councils were involved during 3 sessions of co-creation, validating circuits, identification of bottlenecks, and technical adjustments that allow us to ensure that this interoperability with existing social services system and validate the model. Then, the systematization phase: creation, standards of procedures and protocol, user manuals, and back office guidelines. Also the training, with training modules for front office and back office staff, and the control deployment, with pilot implementation in 2 territories, one with an existing energy rights support service and another one without. This is with a continued monitoring, ensure evidence-based improvements, and provide real-time feedback that allow us to quickly adjust the system and guarantees that the tool was realistic, usable, and interoperable. The expected outcomes: we expect the harmonized methodologies, validate procedures with these local professionals, creation of standard protocols, and unifying criteria. This is really an inter-administrative coordination challenge. It's not easy. Unified workflow that improves the traceability, equity, and efficiency. And also, we have a common tool, a technical common tool. The platform facilitates document management, social rate applications, and energy optimization recommendations, case tracking and reporting, and it is accessible for both, for professionals and for citizens. And then the strategic outcome: We have a roadmap for scaling the service across the province with evidence-based recommendations. Digitalization does not reduce administrative workload. It's necessary integrating the new service with existing municipal systems. And the coordination of these procedures of digitalization affects several layers of administration. Integrating these actors is essential but complex, as each one has different roles, rhythms, and responsibilities. So one of the most valuable aspects of the project has been the collective intelligence generated. Municipalities share essential information. They help to identify critical issues such as digital gaps, documentary complexity, coordination barriers, identification of weak points, and evaluation of user needs. This contribution ensures that the final model is realistic, implementable, and equitable across diverse territories. This final model is both efficient and deeply adapted to real municipal contexts. So our next steps include scaling my energy for some municipalities in the Barcelona region. We still don't know how many municipalities. Integrating with national energy assistance systems, strengthening digital inclusion strategies to support citizens with limited digital skills, and sharing this model with other partners to explore cross-border synergies. But we also have another important challenge: unequal technical capacity across municipalities regarding technical staff, digital skills, and resources. We provide, as a provincial council, this technical support to municipalities, but the scale of the territory requires a sustained assistance. It's not only in one moment, so it's sustainable in time. Ensuring a long-term financial sustainability. Many municipalities have reliance on supra-municipal funding. Scaling the digital service province will require stable, predictable funding to maintain the platform, update functionalities, train professionals, and ensure continuous support. And then the capacity building and ongoing training. Rolling out the service generates a permanent need for manual training plans and technical accompaniment. So this challenge represents recurring structural costs. So one solution we have in mind is a co-payment model. So if the digital services expand to all municipalities, a co-payment system could be considered. If the municipalities contribute financially based on their level of usage or service demand, it may help distribute costs and reinforce long-term sustainability. It must be carefully designed to avoid widening existing inequalities in access to energy poverty services. So this is the same. We have another challenge if we can implement this model. So thanks for your attention. I'm happy if there are questions.
Thank you, Christina. Scalability. Yeah. And we wanted to display this session also to dedicate us a lot on the limitations also on digitalization. So we welcome our last speaker, Martin Bergo from Stratego, to give some words on limitations.
Yeah. So after a lot of really interesting projects regarding digitalization have been presented to us in the last, 15 minutes overall, this time around, I want to go a little bit back to the basics of, a little bit the thinking and the design process that you have in mind. I think I have a strong word in anyways, but that you should take into consideration when designing a digital tool in order to facilitate and to help people in tackling energy poverty. And where does my experience come from? My experience comes from the energy literacy project, which I had the pleasure to be able to implement in Southern Austria together with Klube, which was learning modules on energy literacy in particular. And a few words on when to use energy literacy as a tool in order to tackle energy poverty. So, Strateco, the company that I'm engaged with, we are our home is ecological assessment and ecological and environmental education, so environmental literacy. And I think all three layers, all three domains, as I call them, follow similar patterns when it comes to the learning process. And the usage of a digital tool, by definition, is also always a learning process. So we have the cognitive domain, so we have the knowledge itself, but we also have an affective domain. And I think sometimes this affective domain gets a little bit underestimated. It's this emotional connection that people are building with the topic that then reinforces the whole learning process as a whole. And because ultimately, what is our aim? Our aim is behavioral change. So in order to improve this, getting people in motion, getting initiatives started, getting behavioral change in motion, I think we should also consider to really affect the affective domain, not just the cognitive domain. So we need to create like a personal connection, an emotional connection to the topic of energy literacy, of energy usage. So that is the whole idea. And so my idea was that when we engage with tool development, then we are sitting on the crossroads between like an informal learning approach or a non-formal learning approach. And in order to explain what I mean, I wrote down 4 key characteristics of informal learning. So it needs to be autonomous, it needs to be experience-based, it needs to be flexible, and it needs to be interactive. So that would be the informal learning approach when designing like a tool. This is a nice tool to especially to reach a wider audience in whatever you want to achieve. However, then we also have the non-formal approach, which is more community-based, which is more facilitator-guided, and is structured but still remains flexible. And I think a good digital tool operates on this crossroads between those 2 approaches. However, talking about the limits, which was kind of my goal, I'm coming up with a thesis. So we heard a lot about a lot of structural barriers that are in place when working with energy poverty in particular. That we have, the technological gap, that we have also technological fatigue, that we have an age gap. So I want to throw a thesis out there, is that any kind of digitalization of energy poverty service may need to always still be accompanied with all the opportunities that it actually provides, by an active support for knowledgeable facilitators. So that we need this, in my speech, non-formal component, and we can just use the informal component in order to bridge the gap between user and tool itself. So I'm not just going to present some anecdotal evidence from my project, which was the energy literacy project, in order to try to support this thesis. So our target group is hard to reach by definition, because one of the indicators of poverty might also be the risk of social exclusion. So you don't reach them by definition easy. Yeah. We talked a lot about trust in all the presentations that we saw. And this is also an experience that I've had. Also, I think the overall literacy level of the target group are sometimes by professionals severely overestimated. They are low. And same applies to digitalization levels as well. So, you know, it is often a lack of both, and you need to address both at the same time. And my question is, aren't you overloading the system a little bit? Like, okay, well, let's learn about energy literacy, but we also need to learn about digitalization and how to use tools and how to use apps and how to use all of this. Isn't this overloading the system a little bit too much? And then, this is specifically for the Austrian context, you have language barriers and you have attention span difficulties. And specifically talking about language barriers, I think that digitalization is a big opportunity because, you know, AI can just translate bills, materials, learning materials just so fast, with such a speed, and gives so much accessibility that it is something that we should really implement. Yeah. And by the way, I didn't want to go too into detail to support my anecdotal evidence because this morning the new data for Austria was presented. This is still from the microcensus 2022. I wasn't aware that the new one was published, but the new one was being published. And the low energy literacy levels in the target group are also supported, you know, by indicators. I'm showing you on the right-hand corner the you know, overall levels of education compared to the energy poverty levels in Austria, and we see that we have high energy poverty levels, especially in the people that have an apprenticeship, which is more, you know, Central European way of education, but that here we find pretty high levels. So there is this disconnection between education levels and energy poverty. However, so now we were talking about a lot about difficulties. I want to, you know, talk a little bit about my personal experiences and how to overcome them. Co-creation formats are always a wonderful way of empowerment. Establish strong partnership with social service providers. However, whatever your background is, they have to trust, they have the access. But also, always do not, this is my thesis, not always just use institutionalized players, but also the informal sector a little bit more. Think a little bit out of the box, because all layers of society engage with energy in one way or another. Yeah. Which the discussion that has been already raised, especially in the Dutch environment, is I think, for instance, that doctors or people from the health sectors are quite interesting in order to promote energy poverty initiatives, because they do have intrinsically already that level of trust that we need in order to engage with the target group. And sometimes when it's, you know, hidden in like a health topic, it's not so touchy because everybody is aware that he needs help when it gets to health. So why can I not accept health in terms of energy bills, of knowledge gaps, etc. as well? Yeah. Yeah, and lastly, I think when we were talking about non-formal learning, and specifically, then it's a community-based approach, and I think community building may facilitate, may help, and may go alongside digitalization. And this is 4 key words that I wanted to raise for good community building. It's regularity, and we were talking about funding here before. Regularity, so like sustainable events that not just for a project, but for longer duration. The integration within existing services, associations, initiatives, clear functionality and identification. So, you know, even though it's integrated within an already existing structures, I need to be able to identify here is what I get, here I get my information regarding energy poverty, regarding energy services, and then lastly, empowerment. And with this little input, I finish my presentation. Thank you for your time and thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, well, using digitalization can significantly improve and enrich the efficiency and the tackling energy poverty, but of course, and as Martin has said, facilitators, human support is still essential, and specifically in vulnerable households. Unfortunately, we need to close the session because now is the lunch break, so we are going to stop here and to invite you to go out and have a lunch and then come back for the closing remarks. Thank you very much.